Hello, and welcome to our final module for technical writing. This time around, you will be looking at technical reports. Um, so, in Chapter 7, you have a few different types of reports that you can learn about. In there, you have proposals, you have progress reports, and then we have what we are going to be doing, which is the recommendation report. So I do want you to go ahead and review information about proposals and progress reports. Proposals often are written in response to RFPs, which are requests for proposals. Sometimes not. Sometimes that's not the case. They are. Sometimes they're unsolicited proposals. But essentially, what's going on with a proposal is that you have a new plan, right? Or you have a new project that you want to put into motion, but you need to get the approval of somebody in order to have that project or have that plan go into motion. And so you write down all the details of it and you submit it as a proposal, and then that proposal is either approved or not approved. And so you'll see more details about that in your chapter. When we are talking about progress reports, now in this case, we're talking about a project that has already been underway for a while, and now we want to give some update on the progress of that project, and in the context of when it started and where we're trying to go down the line. But what we are going to be talking about for this round in terms of what you'll be producing for your assignment is the recommendation report. Now, this is going to come in a draft and a final, just like your instructions, except for you'll have a little bit longer to work on the draft for this one. So, for the recommendation report, you're in a situation where there is some kind of problem that needs to be addressed, and you have multiple different potential solutions for that problem, right? So, what you're going to do is you're going to start out addressing that problem, right? Then we're going to look at what the multiple different solutions are, and we will look at what criteria they need to meet. And then you'll actually do a comparative analysis of those different solutions. You'll build a table of data based on that. And then ultimately, you'll draw some conclusions and give some recommendations of what you think is the best route to take. So, for this assignment, we are talking about a scenario where you are working for technical writing solutions, and there are several instances in the production of documents at work where people's grammar is either incorrect, or really language mechanics altogether are either incorrect or could just generally be improved. And now you are looking at softwares that could be thrown at that problem in order to solve it. And so you are going to be doing some research on your own to come up with the answers to those questions. Um, Everything is going to have to be done in APA style. Um, Now, a note on that, our focus in this class is on APA style, which is going to be, it should be the norm when you're working in technical writing. Now, there are going to be some instances in which working with particular documents you might be using IEEE style, or often you might be working in a situation where the company that you work for has their own style guide that they want you to follow. But ultimately, the most important thing is that you know how to follow different styles and apply them. Now, I did send you out some additional information about using APA. And you'll want to make sure that you follow those guidelines when you do this project. So you are going to want to be using images. You will be wanting to label those appropriately, like figure 1, figure 2, with their italicized titles, and you will do this above them, above those images. And then you have to refer to every image in your body text, right? And then after you refer to it as figure 1 or figure 2, then you are going to put your in-text citation, right? So that's how you're going to handle that. And then you'll have a full list of your APA citations at the bottom in your references section. Um, but hopefully there are not any questions about that. But let's go ahead and go over the sections that are going to be in your recommendation report. Okay. So first of all, you're going to start off with your introduction. This is where you state the problem. You also state the purpose of your document, and then you say a little bit about what's going to be in each section. So giving an overview of the document and its parts. Then you're going to move on to requirements and criteria. Okay, so this is where you are going to talk about what requirements, what criteria need to be met by the solution that you choose. And then your discussion of options, right, is going to give some basic and some also some technical information about about the various solutions that you're choosing. So you should have 3 of these, right? And then you'll look at the basic information about them, some technical information. I'm not requiring you to do a full technical description of each, and I'm also not saying that there's no overlap between basic and technical information. And then you're going to do your comparative analysis. Now, your comparative analysis is going to go into a bit more detail, and it's going to talk about how well each of these items perform, right, and what areas, right, and this is where your research is going to come in, right, and you might also talk about how much they cost, where they're employed, etc. Then, based on the data that you have in your comparative analysis, you're going to build a summary table. So you're going to have like a clean table where somebody can look at the comparisons, right, in addition to seeing your discussion of them, right. And then you are going to have your conclusions section, which is a discussion of those the results of that analysis. And then in your recommendations section, based on your conclusion, you're going to say which option you recommend, and then finally you'll have your references section. Now, just so that I didn't confuse anybody, I did refer to the comparative analysis as a discussion, right? And I also referred to your conclusions as discussion. For comparative analysis, I meant discussion in a more general sense, whereas conclusions, this is going to be a, how do I want to say this? This is going to be more what we typically refer to when we're talking about a technical report and we're talking about discussion. So while there is discussion in your comparative analysis, it's not the same as the discussion of your conclusion section, where you are drawing everything together and kind of tying a tight knot, and summing everything up and coming up to the point where you give your recommendations. Okay, so if y'all have any questions, please reach out to me. I am going to go ahead and get this video up for you.